Hey, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
We are Working Class Nerds.
Cue the intro. That's right. We are Working Class Nerds, the podcast that gives you no information about your favorite information.
Today is Thursday, September 19th, 2019, and you can find this, I Am Definitely Taking a Breath in the Wild podcast on Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. You can also find the both of us on Twitter. I am at MarcusB814.
And I am at Nick Vern. That's NickVern. And this week's episode, we're talking about a whole bunch of new stuff coming to the PTS in SWTOR, including some 6.0 Duxon stuff, some gearing changes, and PvP, of course. Plus, we're introducing a whole new show segment and talking about how Marcus is about to get sucked right back into Call of Duty and forget SWTOR forever. Joining us on this wild ride is great friend of the show and fellow SWTOR enthusiast, Kogass.
Yeah! What's up, guys?
Woo! Say, thanks again for coming on the show. And what's it like, how has your life changed now that you're this mega Twitch celebrity?
I'm a mega Twitch celebrity. That doesn't feel like it. I just like to play the game.
I know. That was supposed to be a joke. It clearly fell flat in his face.
But
So what have you been up to this week?
Me? Oh man. Let's see. Lots of schoolwork. I did not realize how bad of my class workload was going to be, so I am now drowning in a whole bunch of readings and projects and programs I've never even tried to open. Had to do a Microsoft project and was terrified of it. Had to use Excel only formulas. Terrified the crap out of me. So I did well on those, and now I'm doing some group projects with classes, and I'm taking a French class, and it's going a little bit rough, but I'm pushing through it.
Sacre bleu.
Sacre bleu, indeed.
How? What classes are you taking?
Oh man, I couldn't even tell you. Let's see. I am taking a management 436, which is strategic management, and then management 321, aviation and aerospace system analysis methods.
What's your major indoor?
My major is in technical management with an emphasis at project management over at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
Aha!
It's all like airplane oriented. Even though it's a school of business, it's still a school of business, but we're geared towards the aviation industry.
That is really cool. And you're going to be working in the French aviation industry.
Well, I'm gonna the whole idea. The French is actually something on the side I do to get out of the house because all my main classes are online. The two classes through Embry-Riddle are online. The French class I take at the local community college just to get out of the house. Reason to just get out and drive. Sometimes it's really nice to do that. Needs to be done every once in a while.
Totally get you. Yeah. Marcus is waiting to say something.
I was probably going to be a jerk, but I'm not.
Say it. Be a jerk.
No.
You can be a jerk. This is Working Class Nerds.
How do you say soft taco in French?
That was awesome. I love how you tricked Kogass into making you say that.
I mean,
that was for you, Lady Ran. Anyway, moving on.
Fantastic.
Back at the ranch.
What have you been doing in game?
In game, oh man. Well, we just finished up. Speaking of Lady Ren, we just finished up our newest episode of Entering Operations, which was Ravagers hard mode. That was very stressful because Master Blaster is a very hard fight. Hard fight to get coordinated in 8-man hard mode. Even if there's no nightmare version of it, it is definitely one of the hardest 8-man fights to coordinate. There's a lot of RNG about it, and PvE players do not like RNG in their fights at all. So that had a lot of people terrified. So we actually did a practice run of that 2 weeks before that. And then I believe I've done some PvP a little bit off stream. And after that, we ended up getting Doc SWTOR, our good friend, his first Nightmare Brontes kill on Monday night.
Yeah, so I heard you guys carried Dr. SWTOR and got him his Wings of the Architect by killing Nightmare Brontes, which is fantastic, but I know it's not a carry because the way I understand Nightmare Brontes is that, in 8-man, you need 8 people alive to win. Where in 16-man, you can lose 1 or 2 and still get a win. But really in 8-man, you really need 8 people to do their job.
Absolutely, 100% true. Even with the 16-man, it's still. I mean, the people who if you're dead in burn phase, people probably shame you. There should be no reason why you should be dying in burn phase for Brontes or in the 6-finger phase if you consider yourself a Nightmare Raider.
Well, right, but I'm just saying it's possible to win a 16-man with 14 where it's almost impossible to win
With
a
7.
Nightmare with 7.
Yes, you are correct there.
Right. Yeah. So as soon as somebody dies, it's done. Wipe, start over. Anyway. So Nick, what have you been up to this week?
Well, I went to a couple classes. I worked a couple times. And no, I'm just kidding. I played a whole bunch of Call of Duty.
Wait, you didn't work?
No, I said that. I worked a bunch.
Oh, I thought you were kidding about that.
No, I did. No, I worked classes, working, but I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. So if you don't know, so normally I'm not a big fan of Call of Duty. I haven't really liked it since
That's such bullshit. We were huge Call of Duty fans.
Yeah, but that was like a decade ago.
It was really that long ago?
Dude, I don't know, but felt basically 8. It's probably like 6 to 8 years. No, more than that. Probably like a decade ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm 24, and I think I was like 14 or 15 when we were jamming, playing Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 2.
Okay.
So back at the ranch, they're revamping Call of Duty Modern Warfare. It's like a whole new game. They're basically remaking. They're not remaking the same game. It's like it's different in the same.
They're
setting.
just bringing them back to their roots.
Yeah. So they have a beta on PS4 that was all last weekend, and now this weekend they have a free beta starting tomorrow for everybody, and I'm really excited about it. A, because there's no more jumping around and stuff, and it was free, so I played it, of course. But the biggest thing is that it's entirely cross-platform,
which is really big, and it's something that we all have been asking for a very long time.
Yeah, and let me just clarify. Not only is it between PS4 and Xbox, you can play with each other. PC can also play with Xbox and PS4.
And
using a keyboard and a mouse if you want to. It's totally, completely cross-platform.
What's really sweet about that is that we can finally play a game together. And our good friend Matt, who has an Xbox, we can now play it with him.
Right.
And it's almost like getting the band back together.
Right. I meant to save this for our new gaming section, but we can dive in now.
No. We don't have to dive in now. I'd like to.
Yeah, let me hear about your week before we jump right into Call of Duty stuff.
Oh, man. So I got sick, and...
What were your symptoms?
Sick.
Did you poop?
Well, of course I pooped. I poop every day. But really what I've been doing is parsing on a dummy, learning keybinds, getting really, really mad.
I don't understand. What, you had to change your keybinds?
So I've been a clicker forever. I click the screen to do all my moves.
Oh, I thought you were a button masher.
No.
Ah, okay.
And so I've quit clicking.
Okay.
And now I'm button mashing, and I'm terrible at it. I'm dying in red circles that I never died before because I am looking down at the mouse with the 12 buttons, going, what button am I pushing? And I'm rolling my thumb all over the buttons, and I'm just getting so mad. I threw my mouse, and I don't do frustration well because in my job it's about precision.
Right.
And once I find that way, it's I don't have to deviate from the plan. I don't like change.
Yeah, you definitely don't.
No, I don't like change. And I embrace change, but once I figured it out. But the initial part of change is not good for me. So anyway, I felt really bad for Death Star Troopers because this week we had a few people out, so we decided to go back to Dread Fortress, which we spent 6 months there. And I wiped the group plenty of times because I was staring at the mouse and not staring at the cleanses or the red circle on the ground.
Right.
Oops. And everybody, I think the comment was, Marcus, are you dying on purpose?
Wow. That's
and I was like, eesh. So, yeah. The other thing, really, truly, I would say the one thing that I've been doing a lot is almost every Saturday night I've been going to Duxon.
Yep.
Getting a group together to go see Matt Pusevich's creation. And the op is really coming out good. You know, the first week it was available, we went in there, and it was rough around the edges, and now they're like starting to do art polishes, and the voice acting is like inserted into it, and they're starting to do the changes for the encounters. And it's really been fun to see the evolution. This past Saturday, we got to the final boss, which is the Apex Vanguard. I really want to see that on veteran mode because Nightmare is not coming out. So it's basically going to be a hard mare when it first comes out. And, yeah, that's pretty much it for Star Wars. But really,
yep,
the game that I have been playing, and let me tell you, I'm absolutely in love with it. I've been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild like a champion. And now, so everybody's out there, because everybody's playing like a champion is something different.
Yeah.
Like Medulla, if he says he's playing a game like a champion, he's putting like 800 hours in a week. My playing like a champion is probably like 15 minutes a day to 20 minutes a day. Like
it's like 2 hours a week.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, probably more than that. And I get lost, and then I like find like all right. So I found this so I saw this shrine. I was on top of one of those giant towers.
Okay.
And I saw the shrine in the distance. I'm like, oh, that doesn't look too hard to get to. I can get there.
No, it's so far away.
Well, it is far away, but I was like, I'm committed. So I do the whole like float on the like the paragliding thing.
Yeah. And you get like your stamina run out.
Yeah, my stamina ran out.
And he just plummeted.
Yeah, plummeted to my death.
Oh,
So
no.
so it restarted me on the tower.
Yeah.
And so I
Try again, loser.
Yeah, try again. So I did a little steeper angle this time. And so I'm running through, and all of a sudden I notice that the map is not highlighted. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm going into uncharted territory, so clearly I'm not supposed to be in that section of the map.
Yeah, well, you didn't get the tower for that area yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
I'll
tell you a trick after.
So, anyway, so I found a hut.
Yeah.
Okay? And it was full of those, like you know, the regular enemies?
Yeah, the Bobokins.
Whatever.
That's what they're called.
Yep.
Like the goblin guys
Yep.
that like dance.
Well,
around the
anyway, so
fire.
I saw a, like, fire canister inside the hut.
Yeah.
And I had one arrow left, and I was like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to shoot it. So I shot it and exploded. The whole thing exploded. I'm like, sweet. I'm getting to the shrine now. Anyway, so I get to the shrine, and I go down, and it looks like a guardian, but it's got a sword and a shield, a blue one.
Oh, it's a test of strength.
Yes. Yep,
Yeah.
the test of strength. And I'm like, oh, I'm fucking tough. You know what I mean? I'm wearing level 1 armor. Like, I'm good. I got this.
I got a whole sword and a whole shield.
Yeah, so I pull out my guardian sword. I'm like, oh, this thing's going to fuck this thing's day up. So I finally learned how to dodge and move and roll. Well, not roll, but like dodge and move and parry and all that stuff. So after dying like 12 times, I was watching the damage of the boss, and the health was barely going down. And this was my strongest weapon, the guardian sword. It was like level 20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm definitely undergeared for this.
Yeah. You got to look and see.
Which feats of strength that is, because there's a couple of different ones, and it looks like you might have. I think I did the same thing when I played through that game.
I did too.
Well, yeah.
I think I walked into like it'll say like a minor test of strength. That's probably the one you should go for. I don't know where it is, but there's some, and then they say like more and more, and it's like a major test of strength, and it's like a really hard one.
Well, either way, it was on a cliff. I saw it from the tower. I'm like, I'm going there. Little did I know that it's.
Oh, is that at the north end of the map?
I don't fucking.
I don't remember. I think I know. Is it overlooking like a lake? You don't remember at all.
No, I'm going to tell you right now. Okay.
Oh, I forgot you have the companion app on your phone. I didn't know that existed until you sent that to me.
There's an
Apparently
app.
there's a.
Yeah,
right?
and it's awesome.
Yeah, it like has like a MIDI map and shows you walking around as you go.
And like I can track where I am.
It's pretty legit.
Yes, it was.
Has like icons on the map and
that
stuff.
Fragment. No, fuck off. Quick thinking. No.
Does it have things that you haven't unlocked yet on there?
I don't know. So yeah, I've been using it and like marking every single one. Yeah. Mao Jin Shrine, a modest test of strength.
Yeah,
you're
you need a
under level.
minor test of strength.
Right. So, I didn't know that. So I'm in East Necula, whatever. See where the check mark is?
Yes.
That's where I am.
Oh yeah, I can totally see it.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you can, Kogass. But anyway, so I'm sorry, everybody. That was just like a minute of shitty podcasting. But
That's okay. They're used to it.
so the thing I like about the game is there's a lot of saving. So like if I only have 10 minutes, I can just run around and like collect apples or chop down a tree.
Yeah. Get
But
some ingredients
note to
for
self,
later.
don't chop down a tree if all you have is one axe, because then the shit breaks. And how dumb is that? Like I got this dope ass guardian sword that like lights blue.
It's like a lightsaber, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And I hit some, like I use it like 5 times and the thing breaks and it says it's badly damaged. And then, well, it's badly damaged, but I'm still going to use it until it breaks in half because you can't repair it.
I would just use it until it's like about to break and then throw it at somebody.
That's a lot of fun.
It does more. And when you throw it, it does more damage. Do you know that?
And it
No,
can
I
explode on them.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
it explodes.
Note to self.
Yeah.
So,
But if you miss, it'll break on the ground and then you wasted it.
right. So I've been having a lot of fun doing that. And I was walking down this trail and I was on my horse Rapunzel. And
Let me guess. Julia named it?
yep.
Yeah.
Of course she did. Anyway, so me and Rapunzel are just straight chilling, going down the trail like we're John Wayne.
Yeah.
And exactly.
We're
so
real high budget here.
So I see this like NPC, and then she's like, "Hi." And I went over and said to her, and she's like, "Hi, I'm so and so from some clan. Do you want to know about the clan?" And I'm like, "No. What do I care about your clan for? I'm here to save Zelda. Like, get out of my way." And she's like, "Ha ha ha! I'm here to kill you." And all of a sudden, she turns into this crazy assassin lady, and like she kills me.
The Yiga clan.
Yeah,
oh,
whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I can't believe this just happened to me. So clearly,
You get
I
killed,
saved it.
man.
well, yeah,
You're
yeah.
dead.
So I respawned, and I was like, well, clearly this chick is going to kill me. I'm using a double-sided axe to try to kill her. Like, yeah, it does a lot of damage, but it's slow.
Right.
Switch to the good old guardian sword, and bam, bam, bam,
Done.
dead zo.
Right.
But you
Did
know
you
what?
pick up her weapon?
Yeah, but it was terrible.
It's the boomerang, right?
No, I already have the boomerang.
Well, they have boomerangs. They're usually like decent, better than the
Oh.
double-sided axe.
Well, whatever. Anyway, so that was just a cool feature. But I'll tell you what, I'm blown away by this game for the one reason that all of the information fits on that little chip
Right?
cartridge.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you see is a place you can go.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it'll happen later and don't spoil it, but I saw a shrine in the middle of like an ocean.
Okay.
And I'm like, wait a minute. How the hell am I going to get there? So,
There's a way.
and I'm really dragging this out, but the last thing I have to say is I know, Kogass, you played this game. So I've done 8 shrines. I've
Okay.
taken the hearts twice.
You've done only stamina?
No, that's the hearts. That's life.
Yeah.
I've done no stamina.
Okay.
So
So
I
you have
think
2 additional hearts is what you're saying.
great. So I have 5 hearts.
Okay, good.
So I feel like now I have to boost up the stamina because I was climbing one of the towers that were covered in vines. And did you know that if you fall off the tower while there's vines, they kill you? Or if you touch the vines,
Yes.
They kill you?
I did know that. Yeah.
But did you know that if you shoot a fire arrow on it, it lights the whole tower on fire? Now you have clear sailing.
Yes. I did know that, but you don't. Where do you get fire arrows? Not till later.
I don't know.
think.
I just killed some people and they had fire arrows.
Oh.
And
I forget.
so and then I've been selling like everything because I'm like, what do I care? Like I'm not going to cook a ancient screw. Sell that thing.
No, keep those. The ancient parts are good.
Yeah, you need those ancient parts, homie.
Well, I've been selling all of them.
Dude.
Man.
But I've got like
no.
3,000 rubies.
Wait,
Oh,
have
that's
you
good.
have you learned how to kill those golems, the rock golems?
What's a rock golem?
Oh, you haven't come across one yet.
Oh man,
You'll see.
You'll get in the game. You'll come against these pretty intimidating dudes, but they literally. Can I say they literally shit gold for you?
Yeah, basically. When you kill them, they explode with like
Yeah.
money and gems.
Yeah.
Well,
Which is cool.
okay, whatever.
But-
I'm
but-
a rookie here. I'm not using a guide. I use my breath companion to track my progress,
And that's it.
and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not, it's.
But
yeah.
seriously, anything ancient, keep, because that's used to make endgame gear, basically.
Oh, all right. Well, then I'll just go back to
That's why you can sell it for a lot. 'cause
Oh,
it's
right.
You know what I mean?
All right. So long story short is that there was this place where it was all like those old like dead guardians covered in moss,
Yeah.
and it
Like
was
in the start area, roughly?
no after that.
Oh, okay.
And I just kept walking around in circles collecting all the ancient stuff off of them
Oh, nice.
over and over and over again. It like just kept popping back up. So
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So I'll just go back there.
Yeah.
Anyway. Wow.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of Breath of the Wild.
I've been playing a lot of it, and it's awesome.
Dude, it makes me want to go start playing again.
And they're making a second one,
I know.
Yes.
The trailer looks awesome.
and I hear,
Yeah.
like I've been reading like the rumor mills on it. It's going to be co-op. Somebody's going to be able to play Zelda, and you're going to be able to play as Link.
I would love to do that. That would be awesome.
In Nick's Gaming Nook,
So
Nick's Gaming Nook.
we want to do.
Welcome to Nick's Gaming Nook.
Yeah, we should get some like some fire crackling sound effects or something.
Nick's Gaming Nook.
No, it'll be like
Welcome.
relaxing.
Welcome to Nick's Gaming Nook.
I'll put on my NPR voice. We're gonna go get
Yeah.
cozy in the gaming.
This is where Nick tells us about the video games that he's most excited for.
And
Yeah.
this is
Welcome
a tree.
to Nick's.
Isn't a tree
And-
have like nice little friends?
Yeah. This is welcome to
Have-
Bob Ross's Nook. It's a weekend marathon live on twitch.tv/Bob Ross. So Nick,
So basically, yeah, wanted to do a little something where I could expand upon kind of like how we have like the in SWTOR news section, just some stuff that I'm looking forward to coming down the pipeline. So obviously, as I alluded to earlier, I want to talk about Call of Duty being cross-platform.
that's big.
That's crazy. The only thing I don't, so I hopped on the beta today. Last weekend it was only PS4. This weekend now you've got everybody involved. And you can turn off the cross-platform play if you want to. What I would really hope for is you could turn off or toggle being able to play against people using a mouse and keyboard.
I've been thinking a lot about that feature. So if I played with a mouse and keyboard,
Yeah.
right? Unplugged the mouse and keyboard, told my PC I'm playing with a controller, get in the match. Now I'm playing against you, just start using my keyboard and mouse again. I don't think you could do it because you can switch back and forth.
Right. Oh, that's probably why. Yeah, that's a good call.
But honestly, like, I know the keyboard and mouse is going to be far superior
Yeah.
to a controller, but you're good enough to play. You'll be able to use a controller and be able to kill PC players.
That's true. And so one of my biggest gripes actually ties into that. So in the matchmaking in the multiplayer is using a system called skill-based matchmaking. So it's kind of like a ranked system where you don't see your rank basically. So
Yep.
like the better players are all matched against each other, which
Right.
is like good and bad. So for me, like in order to do well in a match, like you have to really try because you're against people that are similar in skill set to you, if that makes sense.
It does.
So, but it would be nice to like be able to like really excel sometimes too.
It's not flawless. Basically, they don't want level ones with level 10 prestige players,
right?
Because they're just going to get murderlated.
I would much prefer them to have a ranked mode where you can be like, okay, I'm playing ranked, or
well, they probably will,
or have I hope so. And that's really what a lot of the community people, at least the people on Reddit that I'm seeing, are saying is like, hey, this is fine for like a ranked mode, but like tell us how we're doing and like tell us that we're getting better, because in this way, like you might be getting better, might be getting put into like higher level, matchmaking, but you don't know. So you just feels like you're middle of the pack all the time, and you're not really like progressing in your skill set, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's also like you can kind of cheat the system if you just like die on purpose for a bunch of games in a row. Then
who the hell is going to go there and just die?
Yeah, dude, a lot of people do that, and then they're put into like the noob rank basically.
Yeah, but then they get
a
kill
nuke.
death. Yeah, but then their kill death goes down.
Yeah, well maybe not, because then if they go 30-0 and get a nuke, and then their kill death goes way up a couple games.
What I'm happy you brought up about all this is Call of Duty. We had so much fun playing it, and I don't know if it was because of the game or because
we had like a group
crew
of people. Yeah,
of people playing.
Probably because
the
we had
social aspect of it was amazing.
Yeah,
we had so much fun. Kogass, did you ever play Call of Duty?
I played it like for a week.
Really?
I could not get into it. I'm not a big first-person shooter fan. I've tried it. Just doesn't fancy me.
See, I played a lot of Call of Duty. Even in college, it would be like I'd come back to the dorm and it was basically constantly somebody playing Call of Duty.
Sure. But where they went wrong, well, I'm so honest when I say this. When you come out with a game every year after year after year, you're saturating the system and people get sick of it.
Right.
Like, still to this day, there is no first-person shooter that is as fun as the original Modern Warfare 2, or the original Black Ops.
Yeah.
Like those were true blue arcade first-person shooters, and it was fun.
Yeah.
But when they got involved with the jetpacks and running on walls and like all these like ridiculous
and even like
futuristic,
even the futuristic like stuff, like
yeah,
the kill streaks and stuff, it's like it's detached from like what I can imagine, so
right.
it's not as fun and relatable. You know what I mean?
But they could have been building that if they were just not, if Activision wasn't greedy, and they just came out with a new game every 2 years and just do DLC packs.
Yeah,
people continue to play it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But back to the cross-platform. About time.
Yeah, it is about time. I'm looking forward to it. It's for that community aspect, because now, like you said before, we can get the band back together.
Right, and it doesn't matter what system we're playing on.
Right.
And, Destiny just came out with a, cross-save.
Yeah.
So, basically, if I play Destiny on my PC and my Xbox, it's the same character on both.
Oh, that's wicked nice.
Well, it's because what if you go to... I go to your house and you have Destiny and I want to log in
and play.
And my PC tune is max level, max gear, but I go to your house and I'm a level 1 D-bag.
Right. Yeah, that would suck.
Yes.
That's convenient.
But now I can be pro level nothing. Anyway.
So, I wanted to say regarding the skill-based matchmaking, I could see that like them using that as a way to clump to get around the people using mouse and keyboard are going to have an advantage thing. Because if you're doing way better with a mouse and keyboard, then you're going to probably be playing against other people who are also using a mouse and keyboard, or people who can keep up with you using a controller.
Like all new games and expansions and everything, it always comes out broken.
Right.
I remember this time where they said, oh, we're going to have it so everything in the world is RNG based.
Right.
And then after it came out, they were like, oh, we're never, ever doing that again. And then all of a sudden again, hey, we're going to give you all new gearing, and it's going to be all RNG based. Nobody wanted it.
Right.
I think this is a good step in the right direction.
I think so too.
In day one, it might not be perfect.
Right.
But by the end of this game's lifespan, everybody's going to adapt to this now.
Right.
Just make one server set for everybody.
That's great. I really hope more games are going to do that and follow suit.
Oh, they're going to have to.
It's Call of Duty. Once that's setting a precedent now.
Yes,
this
it's
is a giant
gonna.
game.
Yes. because now the Battlefield. Well, hey Marcus, are you going to get Battlefield? No, I'm not, because I'm not going to be able to play with my friends on different systems.
Right.
Done. Conversation over.
Right.
I had no interest in playing Battlefield because I can't play with you.
Right. Exactly.
Anyway.
Same deal. So in not so pressing news, FIFA 20 comes out next week, and I'm stoked. I'm going to get it.
Sweet.
That is all.
In SWTOR news,
Another game that comes out every year, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I'm more getting because I get it like every 2 years basically. I'm getting it because I want the updated Liverpool roster when I play. That's basically it. I'm just buying. I'm even getting the edition that has Virgil van Dijk on the cover. Not because I want any of the extra crap. That's like totally not worth the extra $20, but just for the cover art. But that's another discussion for another time.
In SWTOR news, we're going to discuss all of this after the break. In AIE Guild news,
This Saturday, 9 p.m. World Time, Marcus will be joining up with the Nomads and going into Lord of the Rings online.
Oh, Marcus and Nick. That's really cool, guys.
I would also like to do that. But
So,
I
listen.
can't remember if I'm free or not.
it's free. Game is free.
No, but I might not be.
But the game is free.
Right.
So all you need to do is download the client.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start at 9 p.m. Mal, which is our community officer for Star Wars and Lotro.
Yep.
We're going to all create level 1 dwarves. And we're going to create ridiculous beards.
Mandatory.
Mandatory, and make ridiculous names, which I've been thinking a lot about my dwarf name.
It's mandatory beard night.
Mandatory beard night. Yep.
Where the attendance is not mandatory, but the beards are.
Yes. Anyway,
Mandatory beard night.
Anyway, so and basically, so we're going to start at 9 p.m. real world time, and we're going to do the intro area. So basically, we'll get you through the tutorial, and Mal's going to explain to us how to, play the game and do all that stuff. So if you decide to come back, you can have fun while not having to go back to the intro area. Oh, my God. You guys are just ridiculous. Everybody in this world is welcome. So no matter what game you play, come download Lotro. Come join us on Saturday night for Saturday Night Lotro.
9 p.m. Eastern time, the real world time.
And all you need is hard drive space.
That's it. It's full free.
And next Friday night is
Mega, the monthly Epic Guild activity.
So we're going to be doing the Magenta Crystal Quest. And yes, you can go to the fleet and buy the crystal. But it's still fun to get the achievement and do the quest and earn the crystal. So we're going to do that. We're going to do some trivia and have some fun.
The fun is mandatory.
So in the last episode, Nick and I were talking about the guild, how we host a bunch of nights that does mandatory fun nights.
Yep.
And I have a list of what those days and times are. And all of these times are in Eastern time, which is the real world time zone, Max. So, Nick.
Yeah.
What is going on in the guild during the week?
So let me just give you a run through on all of the mandatory fun nights. So on Sunday Fun Day, you've got Star Trek Online from 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. I'm assuming this is all real world time.
Yes,
world
I said
time.
that.
Monday, you've got Guild Wars 2 from 9:30 to 11:30. Tuesday is Star Wars The Old Republic from 9 to 11. Wednesday is Final Fantasy 14 from 9 to 11. Thursdays, there are no mandatory fun nights because they know that's when Working Class Nerds records.
Oh!
Friday is Elder Scrolls Online at 9 to 11. That's, after 11 o'clock is when the nymphs are bathing, so they got to get off. Saturday night has two things. You have Lord of the Rings Online at 9:30 to 11:30, and New Braid in WoW from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m.
And I will be sleeping.
I will too. Kogass is not a fan of WoW.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not a fan. I just think SWTOR is better. So why play WoW when you can play SWTOR?
Well,
I get you.
Okay, so the reason why I am intrigued to play WoW is because the rating.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Well, they come out with new raids every 3 months.
That's pretty standard.
Every 3 months, you get a new raid and 3 new tiers of gear.
Yeah.
So you can constantly be just raiding, and it's constantly new content. That, to me, is pretty sweet. I'm not saying the content is better than Star Wars or not. It's just you're getting new content every 3 months. Imagine if Star Wars came out with a new raid every 3 months. Shit would be amazing. Matt Pusevich, get off your boat and make one every 3 months.
Yeah, because he's so lazy.
Right.
No, I'm just telling him to get it in gear and stop.
No, just clone Matt.
trying to-
Clone Matt. Get like 5 or 6 Matts.
Well,
And then get them
oh,
all on
oh.
stream together, and then have him like have a bag of Swedish fish, and he has to eat one Swedish fish, pass the bag, and then the other one, and they just keep talking like Matt Pusevich like down the line, right?
Well, you know,
That'd be hilarious. That'd be awesome.
there is a clone of Matt Pusevich.
It's not Kefis, all right? Matt Pusevich is like Kefis in game. He'll always be there.
He'll always
No,
be there.
no. It's called Camera 2.
Camera.
So,
two.
so his counterpart is Camera 2.
If all this sounds fun to you, go to aie-guild.org, get our Discord info, and ask for a guild invite. Whether or not you play SWTOR or any of the other games that we play, we would love to have you.
In even Saturday night Lord of the Rings Online.
Exactly.
And to find out more about Camera 2, stay tuned.
We'll be right back. And we're back. So today we're discussing more changes to 6.0 via the PTS with our resident experts, Marcus and Kogass.
So, Kogass,
Yes.
can you rate the PTS
The current build.
current Phase 2?
Current phase 2.
Rate it 1 out of 10. How would you rate the PTS?
What am I rating on the PTS? Oh, dear.
Everything as an
Everything.
overall.
Oh. Can I give it a 6?
Well, you can give it.
I feel like.
You can give it a 10. You can give it an 11. You can give it a -2.
Oh, man.
But-
I'll give it.
But you
There
do
are
have
some-
to explain.
There are some good things, and then there are some bad things. Now, what I've
So
seen about the game that is really nice and really pretty and gorgeous is Onderon. Have you guys seen that place? Like, just watching some other streamers play it, being on that planet. Onderon is possibly the best looking planet that they have so far that you can go to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hands down, Onderon looks phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. But
So Onderon's a 10 out of 10.
Onderon is the 10 out of 10. We can't. I don't believe we can get to Duxon yet. The actual like mining field, right? We can get into the raid, but we can't get into the asteroid. That's gonna be the new one.
That's Mechshaw.
Mechshaw. Okay, apologies.
Mechshaw, I don't think Mechshaw is going to be on the PTS because the only thing you do on Mechshaw is story.
Mhm.
So we're not going to actually see it on the PTS, which I think is good.
Yeah, I think that's
leave
great,
some,
too.
yeah, leave some changes,
Uh,
like some surprises.
The Twitter pictures that they've put up of Mechshaw, I mean, just as awesome as Onderon from what I'm looking at. I mean, I can't wait to see Mechshaw. Those are going to be great things. And Duxon, I give Duxon from what we saw as a raid. I like it so far. I'd give Duxon of the first boss fight because that's all I've done as a boss fight. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10. And it's because I've only seen story mode, right? I haven't seen hard mode. But I like the mechanics. I like that you can't just reset the fight sometimes because that's what people would do is they just reset fights when it's the first one. I like that you use up the whole entry area and for who knows how long to kill the boss. I think that's a really nice mechanic. I really like how it looks. The lightning in the area, it definitely gives you a great atmospheric feel. And then we hit gearing. And
Dun, dun, dun.
what happened? What happened, BioWare? We got this whole big promise. This isn't going to be 5.0. We've learned our lesson. We're going to do so much better. You guys are going to love gearing. And then they showed us on the stream how gearing was going to work, and you could see. And I felt so bad because I love Eric and I love Charles. These two guys are phenomenal. I've met them several times, and they're great people. And they showed us how gearing was going to work, and they didn't seem to catch how much RNG was in their system. And we're like, this is RNG, RNG, and RNG, and people are showing up. People are like replaying Eric's playthrough, and they're like, you're getting, you're literally getting tanking gear as an operative DPS. How is this supposed to be helpful? And then we're talking, and then we get into the whole your item gear rating right now. I believe now if you're rated, because we'll be jumping from 258 to 306 is going to be the new range, and the current iteration. And I played this a couple of times. If I'm in 270 gear, I can get up to 274 gear, anywhere in that range. So I can get 272s or 274s. The problem is, and this is a huge knock. Like this knocks off a point and a half by itself, is that your main hands and off hands are all green gear that is not moddable. And as everybody knows, main hands and off hands are not a part of Outfit Designer. So I don't know if you guys use any cartel market main hands, off hands. I personally use my legacy weapons. I love my legacy weapons. I love my
Yep.
my
Yeah,
Furious
I use
lightsaber.
it too.
But I mean, how many people have cartel market items? You invest a lot of money or credits into your main hand and your off hand. And when you're leveling, you can't use those main hands or off hands at all.
Well, I think the reason why. So you've said a lot of things, and I want to kind of
Tease it out.
like break that all down because you said a lot of stuff in a few sentences, a lot of sentences. The first thing I'll just say to the last comment about the main hand off hand. The reason why they're doing the whole not moddable gear in the green 270 gear is because they say that you're going to be out of that gear so fast that you're not going to want to mod it. But in reality, you're going to be in that gear for a while because this gearing system sucks.
Yes, 100%. It sucks.
And I'm not saying that they're not going to fix it, but let's go back to the beginning. My whole 5.0, in the beginning of 5.0, it was terrible. They fixed it and got it to where it is today. And the gearing is actually pretty good. I mean, they threw OSIS in there because they had to release some content. This is my opinion. So we were in a content lull. I really believe OSIS was supposed to be in this expansion. Truth, in my opinion. But they were so far from ready for this expansion that they had to release something. So then they threw out some new gear to make people grind for it. People spent day in and day out in OSIS and learned to hate OSIS. So in all of that, they were like, well, people don't like OSIS. They don't like this gearing. And so they're like, oh, let's give them 5.0 again. Woo! But we're going to put amplifiers and all this stuff in it. So what happened? The content creator group and the general population of the game went bananas.
Bananas.
BANNNAS.
Almost.
Yes. So I agree with you. And then they came out with some changes that were pretty good changes. It was a good start.
Constructive.
Good start.
Yes, let's go. Let's focus on good start. We need to see more.
Well, of course we need to see more. So here's my opinion on the way gearing is. So BioWare can't create content as fast as we can consume it. I've said this before, haven't I, Nick?
On a few occasions, yes.
So,
but it's an important point to make. So
right.
Please
so,
continue.
it's going to continue the whole circle. So they say, how are we going to make the content relevant and last 2 years or however long it is before we can come out with another expansion, whatever that is. We have to make the grind long. So they're like, let's do RNG, RNG, RNG. And then it's going to take people forever to do the gearing. But what they didn't realize is they were completely going behind what they originally said. And I'll get into my theory in 1 second. But in the beginning, they were like, listen, you're going to get from level 258 or 252 to 306 in no time. Boom, lickety split. Because the real endgame gearing in this game is the horizontal progression, which is your tacticals and your amplifiers. That's supposed to be what makes or breaks your endgame gear. Fine. But what they decided in some back room, well, why don't we make the gear grind long? Then we'll make the endgame horizontal gear grind long. And now we've just made these people spend 8 months to a year getting max level gear. Boom. We stretch this content out. People love us. But what they realized is people don't want that.
Right.
And so here's my crazy tinfoil hat.
Oh, yeah. Your tinfoil hat's on tight there, man.
Well, it's going to get even tighter. I think BioWare purposely gave us the shittiest gearing system they came up with to release it. The first PTS iteration or second PTS of this whole thing, I think it was on purpose. I think they put it out there so because no matter what the first iteration they gave us, people were going to hate it and complain.
Well, yeah.
So they put out the worst product possible, like an old. Honestly, you know what it felt like? It felt like an old build of the expansion.
Yeah.
Because it was so bad.
Right.
Like, there's no way that they've been working on this build for this long and put out this build and expect people to be okay with it. Right?
Yeah.
So then they make some changes, and now people are happy. Like, thank you.
Happier anyway.
Happier. Like Kogass said, it's a start. So now by the time they make all these changes, whenever they decide to let us know whatever the next step of changes are, they're going to look like fucking heroes, and this was the plan all along.
Right.
That was my tinfoil hat.
I think that is a ridiculous theory. I don't think that was their plan at all. I think they had this whole system planned out, and they said, okay, this is going to be better than 5.0. And, you're going to get your gear dropping. Your gear's going to drop, and it's going to be replacing, and it's going to be upgrading. And then people were like, wait a minute, this is just RNG. That's just RNG. The piece that I want is another RNG. And then there's so many tiers of RNG that works against the player that BioWare is like, crap, we lost sight of the forest looking at a tree. Because they were just so concerned about how one or two aspects of it, they forgot how it's supposed to work as a whole. And I think a lot of people who are looking on there and saying, oh, it's not too bad, it doesn't seem terrible, a lot of them are in the same mentality where they're just focusing on one or two things and not looking at the full system. Because once this full system is explained to them, they're like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound cool. I have to be putting on a piece of tanking gear because it's level 272 so that my item rating gets higher so that I can start getting a piece of 274 next. Like, I don't want that. I don't want to have to I don't want to have to equip a relic of Devastating Vengeance at 274 rating because my current relic is at 270. So I have a Serendipitous Assault at 270, but I have to put on a Devastating Vengeance relic at 274 because it'll raise up my item rating so that I can get another Serendipitous Assault at 276 or Serendipitous Assault at 274.
Essentially, it's making you wear whatever crappy gear they give you because you have to wait to get to the next tier level.
Exactly. And that is terrible item management and a gearing system that is terrible. And it's all RNG.
It's worse than 5.0.
It's worse than 5.0. It's all RNG. It's all RNG right now. Well,
it's still worse. At least in 5.0, there were tiers. So you knew if you were at command rank 1 through 90, you were getting 230 gear, but as soon as you got to level 91, you were getting their top gear was 236 for that tier. So you knew. Right now, it's all about what you're wearing. It makes it so hard to be able to gear. Now, if your Juggernaut is in 306 gear and now you're getting 306 tank gear, that's not a bad thing because now you can gear an alt because everything is legacy bound. But until you're at that point, who cares?
Absolutely. Like, who does care? Like, no, there's no reason for it. On top of that, I don't know what the stats are going to be on my gear that's item rated 306 if it's the stats that I want. I don't need 3 things of accuracy, or I may not need so much more power. If I'm in 306 gear, I'm afraid that there's so many different versions of a mod that I'm not going to be able to find the version that I need to be putting out the DPS that I want to put out, or the one. Like, I want to see a vendor that says, "Hey, you want to buy a 270 or a 280 mod. Here's your 270 or 280 mod that you can buy for X amount of, what are they, forgotten?
Yeah, whatever.
The currency, Chuck Bucks. Like, can we call them Chuck Bucks? Let's call them Chuck Bucks.
Oh, no, they're tech.
Forgotten
well, we
techs.
can call them Chuck Bucks, but they're tech fragments.
Tech fragments. There you go. Sorry. So I want to buy something with my tech fragments that's exactly what I want it to be. I need a vendor for my mods, and I need a vendor for my enhancements. I'm not going to be happy until I get a vendor for each of those. And if their reasoning for saying, "Oh, well, we don't want to give you a mod because there's too many options for you to pick from," how do we think I feel when I don't even have the option to pick from that, and I'm getting RNG drops from all this? This is all going to be RNG, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to get? Like, I can't even get a chance to pick what I want, and I'm praying to RNGesus to give me what I need. So disheartening.
Yes, I don't agree with the mods and enhancements thing. Honestly, the way it is, why don't they just give us tech fragments and let us buy the gear we want? That's it. Like, forget about, like, gear drops. Just give us tech fragments and allow us to just go buy the gear we want. So you get a bunch of tech fragments. You go buy a 270 green main hand. And you level up that way.
Right.
It's better than the RNG.
I'm okay with that. As
opinion.
long as you're able to modify, as long as you're able to pull out those mods. You can pull out the hilt mod and enhancement from that 270 green. I'm okay. Because, again, why should you be wearing a green that you can't? It's a main hand offhand. You need to be people buy things with the cartel market and credits for their character look. That ruins the immersion for a lot of people.
Tinfoil hat, I think you're getting that. I think you're going to get that part of it. I don't know how far they're going to take it.
Oh, we're going to get what?
I think you're going to be. I think all the gear. Their next big announcement is going to be all gear is moddable. I think that's going to be their next thing.
I hope so.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the next thing you wanted to hit on? I think we've hit the gearing thing. That is enough. Have we hit it? Also, I want to give a huge shout out to Zamzam and Andy Knoll, who compiled almost all the data that everybody's using to show BioWare this is a terrible idea. Please fix.
And shout out to Zamzam, you're on the launcher.
Oh, she is.
What up? So I agree with all of this. I just want, if I go into an operation, I want to know that I'm getting gear that is going to help me progress into the veteran mode op. So I've been doing the story mode Duxin a lot. Like I said, every Saturday almost. And I'm still in 270 gear. I've not gotten one piece of gear higher than 270.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't play a lot on the PTS because I'm only testing it for Matt, and I want to see the op because it's going to help me as a raid lead. The other thing is why not test it? And I really want that cool log mount that you get.
Oh,
you just run
yeah.
around on a log.
Yeah. Run Hammer Station,
so
baby, for the log mount.
Yep. And it's it's really fun. But I'm not going to spend all of my time in there because it's not the game. They just need to come up with a way that we can get the gear we want when we want it, even if we just pay for it. I'd be okay with that. So here's some questions that I have for you, Kogass, regarding gearing in 6.0. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
First question. In 6.0, veteran mode ops are going to be scaled to whatever the original level of the op is.
Mm-hmm.
Example, Dread Fortress is a level 55 op. They're going to level sync you to level 55 and they're going to dictate the stats you have for that operation, because they're going to take your level 75 tune wearing 272 gear and put you at whatever gear rating it was in level 55 time. Right?
Right.
My question is, so is the new gear going to even matter? And who's to say the scaling of those operations are going to be scaled correctly?
I mean, those are both questions I can't even answer properly because I don't know. Those are questions that we'd have to ask the devs. Okay, is your gear going to be scaled correctly? Well, I have no idea. I've gone into Hammer Station, and I've used a mastery stim, and I took off the mastery stim and I put it back on. It didn't affect my mastery. So is that going to work with all your primary stats, or is that going to work with all your primary and secondary stats? If it does, what people are going to end up doing is they're going to start stacking defense, shield, absorption, because once your gear is maxed out at whatever it is for your tune, whatever it needs to be, once your accuracy is capped, once your crit's capped, and your alacrity is capped for 1.4, 1.3 GCD at that level, you're going to have extra stats left over. And like I said, if that stim is any indication of saying, hey, you're capped off at that, then you don't need to put any more stats into that. You're going to put stats into defense, into your defensive stuff for your survivability, and make it easier on the healers and anything else. So it could be really well. And then there's that skew that people could do where, if people do that, then it's going to skew up the entire raid. And people are going to be able to start cheesing it with tanking mods and enhancements.
Well, that's my point.
A tinfoil hat idea right there. That's my tinfoil hat. Like, what are they going to be scaling those down to? I can't get a group on PTS for Kogass Palace.
Okay, so then...
I have a question about level scaling.
Sure.
So, for example, right? So the new level cap is going to be, or gear rating cap is going to be 306, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at level 75, 306 gear. So if that's the cap now, and you scale down to level 55 and whatever the gear rating is, call it
186.
186, right? If you don't have 306, are you not going to be at
That's what we don't
186?
know. That's what we don't know.
Because if you're above 186 normally, you should, or I don't know. If you're above like 240 something, you should scale down to 186.
Well, that's
like max level gear.
Well, that's right. But see,
you see what I'm saying?
Right, and that's a great point,
Like
because
you shouldn't be in a worse position than you are at.
Right.
In
So
the current
they're
build,
not.
you
I
know?
don't
that's
think
right.
they're going to try I think they're going to try to keep you. If you've already got the mastery, if you say need 2,000 mastery to enter a level 55 operation, and your mastery is at, your gear rating is at 280, and it's at 3,000, they'll scale you back down to 2,000 for the raid. I think that's how they're going to do it. But that's again tinfoil hat. I don't know if they're going to do that. We don't know.
Right.
And then, now I am not a Nightmare Raider, but a lot of my friends are. And what I don't know is, we've heard nothing about Nightmare Ops, because Nightmare is the hardest content. So are they going to be scaling Nightmare Ops back to their original level, like story mode and veteran mode, and then just giving you max level gear from those tiers of gear, or whatever the level was, that max level gear? and that is going to be your new home. So does gear even matter in Nightmare Ops anymore? It's sounding like the only gear that's going to really matter is Duxon. I don't know. The whole gearing thing in group content, because we'll get into the PvP questions next, is I don't know where that is going to land.
Well,
Now,
I actually don't mind it. If they have complete control of if you're already min max, but they say this is going to be your gear at level 55 for a nightmare raid, I actually don't mind it. So say if they make it the equivalent of current 242 gear or 248 gear, right? In and talking with Musco back when I was at South by SWTOR, I was talking to him and I said, all of these, the nightmare raids right now they feel a little overtuned. And he looks at me and he's like, "They're designed to be overtuned right now. You're designed to not do as well as you'd want to." And I'm just like, "But I'm in," and then I'm like, "But I'm in the best gear the game can offer." And he's like, "Yes." And now looking back, I'm in the best gear the game can offer, and then now I can fill it back in right now. Because in 242 and 248 gear, and I'm getting those two mixed up. Um, I want to say 248 gear came out with Isaacs, didn't it? I'm not sure if I remember that correctly. And
yes,
so
yes,
before Isaacs, I was still doing Nightmare raids, but I was doing it in min max 242 gear. And for instance, Terror from Beyond, first phase, Tentacles, there it didn't matter how strong your DPS was. Your gear left you in a spot where your tentacles would enrage. You had three sets of tentacles. The tentacles would enrage for Nightmare players. It was just a hard fact. And now, looking back now if you were to do Nightmare TFB first phase with the same tentacles and you're in 258 gear, the tentacles don't enrage, right?
correct.
So, I mean, the same group of people, a much higher gear rating. So now, if they're doing that and they have a way to tune it and say, okay, your gear is going to be the equivalent of 242 gear, and you can be some of the best players in the game, and your gear is going to be, not the determining factor. It's going to be your skill. You're going to have to deal with an enraged tentacle. Your tank is going to have to know what defensive cooldown to use in that aspect. I actually don't mind that. I think that's actually a great way to make it so Nightmare Raiders are still on the edge, because that means that you can no longer rely on your gear, which a lot of people do now. I mean, if you're in 258 and you're doing some of the older Nightmare raids and your tentacle enrages, it's like, what's going on? Tentacle shouldn't be enraging in 258 gear versus you're expecting them to enrage in 242 gear. So I actually, going way back to it, if they do that and they do that for Nightmare raids, I actually think that's a good, solid plan, and I would applaud them for it because it's a good way to make sure old Nightmares are still relevant and the skill level is still required to clear those raids.
But it makes it harder for people to make the jump out of story mode to veteran mode. So if they're going to do that for Nightmare, they're going to do that for veteran mode, which makes it, again, harder for story mode players to move forward.
And that's a hard discussion. I've got no real rebuttal for that except for make a new group finder, make group finder its own thing, and then make story mode its own thing. And make story mode group finder slash hit 1 and 2 to kill bosses. Story mode, throw in some mechanics. Hard mode, throw in how you need the gear and whatnot.
Right.
So
Okay, moving on to PvP.
Sorry, we kept on long with that gearing stuff.
Yeah, but that's fine.
It's important though.
Well, it is important.
It's a big section of the 6.0.
It's
stuff.
a big. I'm shrugging my shoulders because we don't have those answers.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing, and hopefully they can give us some more answers. I mean, feedbacks, from what I've seen, feedbacks kind of died down. Communication, they were like, okay, we get it. We're going to come out with some new stuff. I gave some feedback on the initial things, and then I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep continuing because all I'm going to do is start sounding like a broken record. Like, this still needs to be fixed. This still needs to go. I'm still hitting on the same things that I hit on when I first saw it. And I was like, okay, geared range is better. I like it. It used to be 270 to 272. 272 to 274. Now you have gear range of 270 to 274. You can get anything in that range, and then you're able to, it lets you move up the ladder faster, which is what they wanted. Okay, good job. Now let's buy some mods directly.
So PvP.
PvP.
So the way I understand it is unranked PvP is going to be bolstered to max gear level. Right? Are they doing the same thing in ranked?
I don't know. I can imagine they might. They might not. Currently, you get bolstered to a flat rate, and this is something that I will probably test myself once 6.0 goes live. There are a couple places you can go. The Rishi Stronghold, for example, has a booster, so you can click on the booster, and it'll boost you as if you were in a PvP area or a PvP match, and then you can look at all your stats and look at that stat sheet and see how everything goes, and we can see how they do it. Because currently, I believe the only stats that are really changed are your mastery, endurance, and power. Doesn't really change your crit, doesn't really change your alacrity, and that's why getting the right gear is still important in PvP. I would always recommend for you to gear yourself out and for a PvP and bolster. I never like to rely on bolster, but it's still, you know what? It's there for a reason, and it's there to help people out. It's there to make you feel like gearing shouldn't hold you back in regs, and I like that. I really do.
Okay. The hard part of the gearing is I understand that some of the tacticals are completely geared towards PvP, and so it's almost like they're making PvP gear without bringing expertise back. But my question is, in this new gearing system, if you only PvP, which you PvP, will you earn gear as fast as me or faster if I only do operations? That's what I don't know. I want to know, like, because people are going to do whatever it is the fastest way they can get gear, right? So if doing Hammer Station over and over and over again is the fastest way to get gear, that's what people are going to do. Because people are not going to want to be in 270 greens.
Correct. I think from what I was understanding, I wasn't able to properly test PvP. I was in queue when I ran Hammer Stations a few times in this last iteration. I did not get a pop. The times before, I did get a pop. However, the arenas were bugged, and it went up to rounds like 42 before the match was over. It was just like the announcer, somebody died. The announcer came up, said somebody died, and then the round just kept on ticking, even though everybody was alive or one team was dead. It never properly reset, and everything was not good. I've talked to Talios, and he was on the PTS, and he was able to get a couple regs matches, and he's saying that PvP will probably be one of the fastest ways to upgrade your gear because you will get a gear drop box almost after every single match if you win. So it'll also PvP will start popping more, and people will be queuing into it more, and people will be trying to win it more if that is the case, so that they can start gearing up more. So it may favor the seasoned PvP player. Ranked PvP, I have no idea how that is going to work because the season will be over and people might be trying to dabble into ranked PvP, but who knows whenever they drop that, how ranked PvP will play a factor, because I don't even, if I can get a pop for regs, there's no way I can get a pop for a ranked match on the PTS.
Well, what they should do is, I think they did it before, is have a PTS PvP weekend where, like, they pick a Saturday where they say, okay, from 10 to 2 Eastern, we're going to be testing PvP in the PTS. And basically, if you play PvP, please try to come and test it. And try to concentrate a bunch of people so that there's pops so they can get that.
Right, it's play with the devs. They did that for abandoned HUD ball, and they did that with the new arena and the way they were changing up ranked. I remember that because they made some changes to acid, and the change to acid is great. It's phenomenal. Nobody's complaining about acid change, and then you got people who say, "Oh, the devs never listen to us." I'm like, they did. They do listen, and the acid change is a perfect example of how people were cheesing that mechanic in ranked matches to get the wins. 1 versus 4, the one person wins because he's able to cheese acid better than the other 4 people. And that's a change, and that's it doesn't. People are okay with it. People are happy with it.
Yeah, I'm so torn because part of me says if they want more pops in PvP, why not just make it all ranked? Just make it all ranked.
Make it all ranked. I don't think that would work. I mean, that's the same reason why. Like, look at other extremely popular games. Not all games, like Fortnite, isn't always ranked. League of Legends isn't always ranked. Making everything always ranked is just adds stress to people, and sometimes people just want to queue up for PvP to unwind.
That's literally one of my biggest gripes with the Call of Duty beta is there's a built-in ranking system that makes it so that you have to be trying your hardest all the time. And I don't like that. I would much rather have, like in Siege, you have a casual mode and a ranked mode.
And sometimes you feel like being serious and doing ranked.
Yeah, and sometimes you just want to like hop in and not really think about too much for a while.
I guess what I don't like about ranked in Star Wars is that it's one death, one kill. You're done. Right? There's no respawning. Like, they should have all the maps available for ranked.
Yeah.
Which they don't. It's only 4v4 and it's last man standing. And to me, that's just, bleh. That doesn't pique an interest.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to die.
Because you're going to die. Well, it makes you, ranked PvP makes you learn your class and makes you learn all the other classes. Makes you read. I mean, you're right now looking at your key bars. Now imagine having to know all your keys and your abilities, and now you're reading your buffs and debuffs and your enemies' buffs and debuffs while you're pulling off all your abilities, while you're trying to look at your location, while you're trying to get everything going and looking at your teammates and seeing if anybody's disappearing, looking at a mini map after a marauder stealths out to try to get the kill. There's ranked PvP is a huge sensory overload. It's a huge sensory overload, and it's also a huge learning curve. Absolutely, one of the biggest learning curves anybody will ever see in, I'd say, almost anything, and not even just SWTOR, but just in general. It is a huge learning curve.
Well, I agree with you 100%. Okay, I'm going to put it out like this. It's like whenever you're doing something, when it first comes out, okay, I'm going to do operations.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is the best way to put it. Picture running a marathon. Everybody starts at the starting line.
Right.
Everybody. And as you go and you're running your marathon and you're doing story mode ops, some people are at their plateau. And the pack starts to split apart through veteran mode.
Right.
And the crowd gets thinner and there's more distance between each runner. And as you're going into the nightmare ops, that pack is getting even smaller, and most likely you have to be Kenyan to be in the front, right, of that marathon. And everybody hits their plateau at some point. And just like PvP, you can go in there and get destroyed in the beginning and be like, I don't even want to do this because the learning curve is so strong versus like Call of Duty, where if you play it enough, you're just going to naturally get better.
Yeah.
But on day one, when the game comes out, everybody is just as terrible.
Right.
But going into a game like Call of Duty, after a year of it being out, you're at huge disadvantage.
Yeah.
So the people that have been playing Star Wars PvP since day one have a huge advantage over a guy like me trying to play it now.
Right. Even, like, to use the Call of Duty example, even if you are pretty good at other Call of Duty games, just figuring out the maps and figuring out how the new guns work and things like that, you're at a giant disadvantage in that alone. Even if you were good at similar things, is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
So yeah, so you having never done, well, not never, but like not done PvP like that before in an MMO, and also not, not done it in SWTOR, yeah, that's a giant curve to your point, Kogass, to try and overtake.
How do you get more people to play PvP, Kogass?
Well, it's happened a couple of times. The last changes that they made to the live servers about PvP killed group ranked, and I hated it. I don't like how they changed it from 20 matches to 50 points, right? And then wins used to count for 2, now they count for 5, and a loss just counted for 1. Yet people, with the old setup, you had if you wanted to just mat farm, CMCs used to be much harder to get too. And so mat farmers would be like, all right, well, we have to do group rank to get these mats so that we can get some stuff crafted. And mat farmers would get in the queue, and then some people would be like, oh yeah, let's do that. And it became little fish, got eaten up by the big fish, which the little fish were the mat farmers. The big fish was the some people who are doing ranked and might be mat farmers themselves with a couple of friends, and then another group of bigger fish would come in, and these are people who are experienced but don't know that much. And then there's another bigger fish, which is just people who have been playing ranked for a little bit. And then you got the biggest fish, which are the people who've been playing group ranked for years together with friends who coordinate on voice. They're going to throw out their stuns. They got their awes or their stuns, their CCs, their knockbacks. Everything's coordinated on what they're doing. And you have all these different kinds of groups queuing up. And that was how you got people queuing up for ranked, was just like offering them the mats and getting them a solid way. And if mat farmers are going in, and the reason this works better in group ranked versus solo ranked was because in solo ranked, you still had people, you're combining all of those fish onto a team, and you're saying, okay, now go kill this other team. And people are like, well, I don't care, I'm just here for mats. But you have 3 other people on your team who are like, well, I care, I'm here to get rating, or I'm trying to get wins. Of course everybody wants to win, but you have the person who's like, I really don't care, I'm just here for the mats. Doing that in group ranked worked so much better because you're like, hey, we're mat farmers. You're like, cool, I'm a mat farmer. So you're not going to get mad at me? No, I'm not going to get mad at me. You're not going to get mad at me? Cool. We lose 4 games in a row. We lose 4 games in a row. I'm not worried about it. And then you have your friends who you're with, and hopefully you're not going to get mad at your friends if you guys lose. And it's just that method where they increase the mat rewards for group ranked was probably the healthiest thing they could have done for getting people to queue into PvP. And then they turned around and killed it right away after that. And it really sucks to see something like that happen, because solo ranked was still popping and solo ranked was still healthy. And you can't do that with solo ranked, because then solo ranked it's too much of a mix. Group ranked, it was flawless. It was the best they've ever had group ranked. The healthiest it could have been, I think, was end of season 9, season 10 in the entire SWTOR history.
And there it is. Okay. Camera 2. I'm going to tell you the story about Camera 2.
Yes, please.
So
you've had us waiting the entire second segment.
Okay, so Matt Pusevich,
yeah.
So he follows you around and essentially trolls you during these operations on Duxton on the PTS. He's this little robot, and he comes up and he shows up in these weird places and watches you, and he does funny things. I watched him get squished by Dr. Ogurub. Somebody spawned Dr. Ogurub right on him, which was pretty funny. Then the last time we were in Duxton, there was another guy in there, and it was a camera, and it was called Camera 2. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this whole time, I'm like, oh, Camera 2's watching. And come to find out, it's not a robot. I thought it was like literally a camera.
Yeah.
It's Matt's partner in crime for BioWare, and obviously we don't know their name.
Yeah.
So they're Camera 2. So Matt is not alone in this, and there's somebody else just as crazy thinking of ways to kill us.
That's pretty fun.
So I'm on a hunt to find out who Camera 2 is. That's my new mission. Podcast guest, Camera 2.
Come on down. You get a free invite.
Can you imagine if we had Matt Pusevich and Camera 2 on at the same time?
That would be bonkers.
Yeah, there would be math equations that we couldn't understand.
No, maybe Kogass can, because he sounds like he's got a whole lot of math going on.
A whole lot.
A whole lot.
Kogass, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
You're welcome back anytime.
Soft
This was awesome.
tacos.
Thank you.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of
Working Class Nerds.